This is our Emotional Gymnastics for Real Estate Agents seminar. We've been doing these every other week for been a couple months now, and this one is going to be a good one. We are talking about New Year's resolutions and basically goals, setting goals for the year, and how it makes you feel, because it definitely ties into the emotional state. We had a very heated / passionate discussion about these. Backstage, yes. We had a very heated passionate discussion. So I'm just going to throw it out there. The way, if you haven't seen one of these webinars before, the way it works, I'm here. I'm Jesse Zagorski. I'm a broker associate in San Diego. I'm here with Priyanka Jory, who is an amazing agent. Actually, you're a broker out of Houston, Texas, who loves dogs. Who she loves dogs more than people, I'd say most of the time. 100%.
Love dogs, tolerate people.
Okay. We've got Janki Patel. She is are you a broker also? Or
no, I'm a team leader.
She is a team leader and an agent, but a fantastic team leader and agent from Northern California. And she is sometimes agrees with Priyanka, sometimes does not. So we will see what happens today. And then Jim Godwin is a broker and team leader from Kansas City. And we kind of spin the spectrum here. So I'm just going to ask questions about goals and New Year's resolutions. You guys can answer and I'll jump in whenever, but I'm just going to throw the first one out here. Whoever wants to start. How do you guys feel about New Year's resolutions?
I hate them. I do not hate them. That's a little strong word, but I think come November, everybody starts talking about, especially in real estate world, set up your goals, how many transactions you're going to do next year, how much money you want to make, and let's set up the steps, how many calls you have to make, how many homes you have to sell, how many buyers you need. It's just so much money focused, and it misses the point of hey, what do you want out of your life? And then the new year comes along and everybody is making resolutions like, I'm going to lose the weight, I'm going to eat healthy, I'm going to do this. Why do we have to wait till January 1st? If you want to start something new, something good in your life and want to make a change, start today. The day you think about it, start it that day or next day. So that's why I don't think resolutions and goals are my cup of tea. But I know you guys have a different view.
So Priyanka, used to be that believer, right? 2 years ago, I used to be the same, like setting goals, setting expectations, and then being disappointed at the end of the year, not meeting my GCI goals or my volume or whatever it was. And even this year, I was beginning to start it. And I'm like, what am I doing to myself? And I reminded myself, and my daughter is one of those believers that says, you know what, you don't want to disappoint yourself. What is the main reason you're doing what you're doing right now? Whether it's, losing weight, or whether it's reading and spending more leisure time with yourself, or, having days off and taking days off. What is your end goal here? Your end goal is to take care of you first. We're in the people business, make them happy. And then the outcomes, right? We all have different goals. But the main thing is, setting that expectation and then failing towards it, how does that make you feel, right? That was my aha moment. And I said, I don't know if I want to do that this year. So
I looked this up actually before the call. Do you know what the percentage is of people that actually accomplish their New Year's resolution year after year?
Probably a pretty high.
Let's do a $5 bet.
Okay, 5%.
5? What's yours, Jackie?
I would say 25, 35%.
Well, is it 25 or 35?
Let's go with 5.
Okay, Jesse?
2%.
2%. It's 8. It's like 7.875. So that means that 92% of people that set New Year's resolutions every year are setting themselves up to fail. So why do we keep doing that? January 1st is such an arbitrary date. Like, why did we pick that date to say, this is the time that we're going to do something different than we were doing 24 hours ago, and make that be what makes us feel like we're a success or a failure?
I think it's not just random. It's just start of a new year, start of a new life, start of a new, everybody thinks of it's a new start, right? So seasons have changed. Even in if you look at cultural aspect of it, every culture has winter is passing, new year is starting. It's a time to sow new crop or whatever kind of thing. I think it's somehow ingrained in us to have that new start and associate that with something new coming, and maybe we feel more hopeful, right? So the dark nights, the winter, the cold is passing away, and new spring is about to come. The daylight is getting longer. We are getting more optimistic and more positive. Maybe that's what it has to do with something like, Christmas is over, all that happy feelings that we had meeting families may not be always happy meeting families, but, it's just, I think that's where that it's not as random as you may think. I think it's like go ahead.
Priyanka, wouldn't you, and all of you guys, wouldn't you agree that every single day should be, like when you wake up, every single day should be like, okay, I meditated, I finished my morning routine, I did my affirmations, it's a new beginning, and leaving the old day go by, and what happened yesterday and today's a new day. Shouldn't we always think like that? I mean, shouldn't...
So my life is very random, right? My everyday is different. So I'm not like every day I'm getting up and I'm doing the meditation or doing this or doing that. Every day is a new exploration. And for me, that's where this goal part has changed my life, because I used to be I am an A personality, if you guys haven't noticed. I'm like, okay, I'm going to set the goals and this is what I want in my life. And I have always achieved what I set my goal to be from my childhood, right? So I'm just like, I want to be a pilot. Everybody's like, nope, you can't be a pilot. Ghosts don't fly, coming from a culture. I was like, no, I'm going to be. And then when I became one, that journey was the thing that was exciting. Getting to that point, once I achieved it, it was such a, like, now what, right? I felt empty. And I did it again and again. I wanted to be a geologist. So I came to this country. I became a geologist. I wanted to work for a big company. I got a job at a big company as a geologist. But once you get that goal achieved, so suddenly for me, it was the emptiness. And I realized the struggle, the fighting, getting there was what excited me. But it was very self-centered life. It was all about me. I wanted to have a prestige. I wanted to have money. I wanted to have power. I wanted to have status. I want to have this particular title. And all that never, ever made me happy or content. I was always looking for that next thing, next goal. And then once I let everything go, it happened like 10, 15 years ago when I started my animal sanctuary. And suddenly I was doing it for somebody else or something else. And then what their needs was like, if you get a call in the middle of the day, dog got hit by a car, you need to go rescue. It's so random. There's no goal. And once I started going towards that, my corporate life just kind of fell apart. Everybody's like, we are paying you high dollars to come and work over here. What do you mean you have to leave the meeting to go pick up a dog on side of the road, right? So my unhappiness got worse and worse until I walked away from everything. And I said, okay, I need to redo something. And at that time, I still have a goal. I have to start a sanctuary. I have to have this business to support something. I have to generate this kind of money to run the sanctuary. And I was failing miserably, like 2 years of failing again and again and again until sanctuary started. And I look back, for 2 years, I was like 10 acres minimum in middle of nowhere. And I looked and couldn't find the property until I got lost. The day I said, like, I'm done. I'm not going to start a sanctuary because it's not meant to be. For 2 years, I'm looking. And I got lost, ended up at the property where the sanctuary is now after 12 years. I still love that place. And I would have never looked at it, that space. And when I looked at that, I just like, hey, hold on. And I started looking back at my life and reanalyzing it. And I realized I missed so many opportunities. Universe was coming from every direction and opening doors for me, but I was so focused on my goal and the steps that I had to take that I was just going like with the blinders on. And I achieved my goal. And now I look back, I said, oh my God, what all I missed. And once I changed my outlook towards life, look at my life in 10, 15 years, I'm not doing anything at all that I have planned, right? And I'm more fulfilled, more content, and I'm living an amazing life.
Well,
everything.
Yeah, and that's because you decided that you were not going to be so goal focused, right?
Yeah.
You're going to do what comes your way, what the universe will give you, and you will just get it done as it comes, day by day. You're going to one day at a time. There's a saying that says, "Don't what is it? Focus on the process, not the results." Right? So focus on the journey, not the destination. I've heard that a lot.
And I think goals kind of distract you from what is all around you because you're so focused on your goal that I think I missed a lot of opportunities, and a lot of people miss the opportunities that are coming your way because you're not open to that. And there's nothing you can do about it because, everybody tells you, write down your steps, set up your goals, and just go after them. And I did. So I was that person. But I want to bring that other perspective, like, look at it. You can have life two different ways, and it's up to you. And maybe I wasn't ready for the kind of life I'm living today. I may not have been ready or happy doing the same thing when I was 25, Who knows?
Jim and Jesse, what are your thoughts? I mean, you guys want
I think they are blown away right now.
No, because a lot of what you're saying
are overpowering right now. So
it's a lot of what you're saying I do agree with. I just also like goals, and I don't set New Year's resolutions, but I have nothing against them, right? And I think for some people, like you're to one end of the spectrum, Priyanka, where literally you can say, I'm going to take whatever the universe comes for me. Most people, especially real estate agents who are in that camp, they end up just jumping from thing to thing to thing all the time and never moving anywhere, right? If you just take what the universe hands you, either intrinsically put in at a deep level something that you're moving towards, not without calling it a goal. Or I think for a lot of agents, like having a goal puts you on a path. And if what you love is that journey, the goal starts you on that journey. I'm kind of coming from the other side of it.
So for real estate, right? In 2008, I'm doing my regular real estate thing, showing my clients homes, selling my listings, doing my investments. And I have a client who came from UK. I'm showing them homes. They get really upset one day with me. It's like everything that you're showing. So it was, I think it's a second weekend. I say, everything that you're showing to us is like not something we're looking for. I say, it's exactly what you told me. And last week, everything was good. What's going on? And I take them for lunch. I say, okay, if it's not working out, you go find another realtor. No hard feelings. But I want to know what happened between last week and today. In 1 week, wife is sitting in a hotel room. 2 young boys, I think 7 or 8 years old. They're climbing the walls and she's frustrated. He's frustrated. I have a new job. I'm in a new country. So he's leaving 6 o'clock in the morning, coming back at night, 9 o'clock at night, right? So that 1 week of frustration. And I realized it. I said, here's the key to my house. That is one of my listings. It has a pool. Why don't you take kids over there? We are not going to look at the homes today. You spend the weekend with your family. We will pick up it next week. And Monday, I get a call from the company that has brought him over. He said, he's not moving out of that home. And home didn't have anything. I just have stage furniture. It had beds and it had a pool. No kitchen equipment, nothing like that. And I said, no, I need to sell my listing. And they said, we will pay you what we are paying Marriott for him for each month. And he needs to be there for a few months until he finds a home. I said, okay, what are you paying? And they give me a number. And I was like, what? You will pay me that? They said, yeah, we are paying Marriott. And he just like, my wife is really happy. My kids are happy. Just make her, let us stay there. So I said, okay, fine. For this number per month, I will let him stay there. But I'm still selling the listing. Let him show it. And then I realized, that means like more people may be looking, but I'm still thinking about it. They bought the pots and pans and they started living as a like furnished rental. And as he's moving out, he gives my number to another person who was moving, again, his friend from Europe, I think from Belgium. They say, oh, this home is really nice. Ask this lady to give it to you instead of staying at the hotel. And suddenly that started epiphany. I'm an investor. Why don't I buy more homes, make them furnished rentals? And this is way before Airbnb time, right? And this was opportunity that I would not have looked at 15 years ago. I would have been like, you're my listing agent, you're my buyer. Here's my listing. I showed you, move on. You have a problem. You figure it out, your HR department. I solved one problem. I built a whole business on that where other realtors were calling me for their relocation clients. And suddenly I have a business that I never planned. I never thought of. It's completely real estate. It's not goals, but I was open to that possibility. I was open to like, I was solving one of my clients' problem, but then I was like, hey, there's more to it. How many more people have this problem? I ended up with 23 Airbnbs. Wow. Out of nowhere, never on a plan, never thought about it. And it just evolved from one day to like, I didn't say like, oh, there's an opportunity, but I'm going to start on January 1st. It needed to be done right there and then and just move on.
So Priyanka, so to kind of put a takeaway in here, and then Jim, I know you had something you wanted to add before. I would say if you're going to not have a goal, you have to be aware of possibilities. You have to at least, like you seem someone who is actively, consciously open to possibilities, right?
It's all around us.
It's all around. I was just about It's all around us. Exactly. We just have to be aware of it. We just have to tap into it. You see, we continue to focus on the goal, but sometimes that goal can become so daunting that it kind of really puts you in a different mindset alignment, right? And you don't want to bring that kind of mindset alignment, right, in your environment. Goals don't scare me, but at the same time, they don't make me who I am today. It takes away from who I am today. I didn't have a goal of doing a webinar yesterday. It was focus time, it was showing appointments time, but I replaced that and I did what made me happy, because guess what? I'm learning from doing that webinar, right? So that's something different. Mm-hmm. And education for myself is so important for me. Like when I educate myself, when I go on these webinars, I learn from Priyanka, I learn from Jim, I learn from Jesse, I learn from Tristan, I learn from so many different people and vendors. It just makes me a better team leader and a real estate agent. And then that automatically just, funnels down. It's like a domino effect of how I can take that education and help others. But that was never in my goal yesterday. That was not the plan. Sometimes you have to steer away from the plan. And if you're too focused on your goals, are you really living that life that you really have to want to design?
It's kind of like with everything else in life and in business. You have to have a certain balance between the things, right? You have to find that right balance, and so like it's good for a lot of people to have a goal that they're working towards, and at the same time be open to a possibility. So not being so focused on the goal that you're not seeing the things around you that can bend and shift, but also have something out there in the distance that you are working towards, if that keeps you focused on something. But you don't want to be, I don't think you want to be too hardcore in one direction or the other, because a lot of people need that stability of having a goal set to be able to work towards that. But if that goal then defines who you are as a person, then that becomes something that's too extreme, in my opinion. Go ahead, Jesse.
No, I think you're right. So we talk about it like how there's so many different personalities, right? We talk about our disc personalities all the time. And just because one way works for me doesn't mean it works for everybody. Just like everybody else's goal setting is not working for me. So it really drives me nuts when those posts start popping up every year between November and December. And it's really like, what the heck, right? Yeah. Because that's my personality. And we are talking about this so people like me can say like, hey, I can be successful without setting goals, without being so rigid. I can be like loosey-goosey, like, hey, I want to have something like this, but be open to opportunities, be open to something new, right? And do it their way. Why does it have to be like this way every time?
Right.
Like every coach, every guru is selling the same thing and telling the same thing. Set up your goals, come up with the steps and just go after it. I want to bring that like, hey, there's the other side of the coin that you can also do it this way.
So
but it won't work for everybody.
Here's a question for you though, because in terms of, is it just because the gurus and the coaches are saying set a goal? Because this is one of the things we had talked about was, why do we feel compelled to set big goals, right? You said every year at this time, you look at all these Facebook groups and Lab Coat Agents and all these groups, you see people saying, here's my goal, I'm doing this, and they get bigger and bigger each year. And to me personally, I don't think it's just because a coach or a guru who said it. I think there's something innate in whether it's competitiveness or I don't know what it is. What do you guys think it is why people feel compelled that
it's definitely competitiveness, and it's a need to feel like you're part of a pack or a group. And
peer pressure.
And also I believe it could be a part of like, well, I've got one too. I've got that goal, big, hairy, audacious goal. I've got one too. And now what are you doing about it, right? So in my opinion, instead of having these big, hairy, audacious goals, I did too. I was like, okay, I want to do $100 million in sales volume this year. And I thought about it and I said, do I really? Okay, good. I want to get there, but it's scaring me. Okay, that's what it's supposed to do to you. But then again, so my self-talk was very strong within me, and it's constantly telling me, is this what you really want to do? And how are you going to get there? And oh my God, I didn't do it for the month of January. Now guess what? February, you have to double and triple. That negative thought is not going to bring positive achievements. Do you see what I'm trying to say? When you set the goal, and if it's so big, then is it really going to scare you off and you're going to fall off the chair? Or is it really going to propel you to become the better you and really stay focused? What if something happens like COVID? And what if you can't make that happen? How are you going to feel at the end of the day? What kind of self-talk are you going to have for yourself? Negative or positive? Oh, I'll blame it on COVID. Are you always going to have excuses, right?
And I think what Jesse was asking is like, why people do it. Jesse, I think some of it is people think like, oh, this person is successful. Like he's a guru or he's a coach or mentor, and they have done this way. I don't know how to get there, so I'm just going to follow what they are saying. And they are selling something because they have to, right? So there's just like, okay, for most people, I have to come up with a box that most people I can put it in and they can follow. Because they can't say like, oh, Priyanka, your personality is this, so you do it this way. Janki, your personality is this, you do it this way. And Jim, you do it this way. But that will be really hard for coaches to go about and do it. And I think that's why all of them are talking in a certain way. And people are just like, hey, everybody's talking about it. So
let me jump
I
in.
have to do it. Like, if I want to be successful, if I want to get there where these people are, then I have to follow the same path.
And I think also a lot of people aren't defining the reason why they're creating the goal in the first place. And so like they people create these big, massive goals and they're like not really making it clear in their mind why they're doing it or what the purpose is. Is it because I want to have more free time or I want to be happy or like, are you doing it because you feel like there's something wrong with you as you are right now? And so you have to change something in order for this particular thing to happen. And I'm not okay with myself unless I'm this instead of this. That's like,
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like people don't have purpose in their lives and every human being kind of looks for a purpose. And if you find it, then you just have something to focus on, right? So I have a purpose and that is mine. Everything moves around it. Right. But I think you're right. If you don't have anything to go for, you want something that you're aiming for. Maybe that's why people like, oh, I'm going to double my production and it's never enough, right? Oh, my GCI was 250. Now it's going to be 500. Now it's going to be 1 million. And they're never satisfied. And I see this so much in real estate, but I'm not exposed to other careers also. So I don't know if it's just the real estate thing or it's everywhere. But it really drives me nuts. It's just so money focused. Then what you can do with that money or time or your experience or your connections.
Yeah. And if you're not coming from the right place when you're setting a high goal, you're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy because you're saying, I'm going to set this big goal. And then as you're working towards that goal, things happen. That's why 92% of people don't meet their goals or resolutions because things happen along the way and you have to learn how to be able to shift and maneuver through those things. And if you get to a point where something happens and you're like, see, I'm this person. I can't do this. I can't meet this thing that I thought I could, this expectation I have of myself. Now look, see, now I'm confirming to myself that I'm not good enough.
Right. And that's another thing that whenever I set the goals in my past couple of years that I did and I didn't achieve them, like, what am I doing in this business if I'm not going to achieve my goals? What am I setting? What kind of example am I setting for my kids, right? I didn't meet my goals. So it always questioned me. And that's where, and then I asked myself, well, why am I in this business? Is it all about money all the time? Or is it about making people's lives better and helping people with their real estate investments, right? Yeah. Or their real estate portfolios, helping other people build their real estate portfolio. What is my goal at that point, right? Mm-hmm. So then I had to make that shift in my mind and realize that, and make that conscious effort within me to propel, to be a better version of myself and a better person of myself than to be so money-minded and to have these goals and these expectations of myself that really derailed me mentally and emotionally, didn't help me. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I say that I'm not the type of person now, after learning all these years, even this year, I was like, okay, I want to do 100 million in sales volume. But then I had a self-talk, and told myself, no, that's not what the inside of me wants as a team.
Don't you guys think that continuing on with your mission in the face of diversity is more important than actually reaching the goal? I mean, that is more of a defining moment in your character than saying I completed a goal.
Yeah.
Like the goal is great. You made this much money, or you closed this many houses, or you helped these many families. That's awesome. But along the way, what was it that happened that you worked through that really shifted a perspective or your way of being, or like how you are with people, for you to be able to continue on and meet that goal that you choose?
I fully agree, but I think in the context of like running a race, let's take it out of real estate for a minute, right? So I don't know if any of you guys have ever signed up for like a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, a marathon, right? That is a goal. That's a destination. And of course, it's about the process of who you become while getting there. But for most people, including myself, because I know that I've trained for triathlons and I've just been doing fitness for fun. When I have something I'm training for, a goal, it keeps me more consistent. It puts me on a path. It just, to me, I'm going to go back and argue still for goals and saying, like, when you set this goal of $100 million, Junkie, we can talk through how you manage that self-talk, but it still gives you a destination where the path is more important. But
all I'm saying, Jesse, is that if you don't complete the triathlon, to me, that doesn't mean that you didn't complete your goal. To me, that means that you completed every single goal that it took you to get to the starting line.
Right.
You know, no matter whether or not you completed the triathlon or not, shouldn't make a difference. And I think that's where people get into trouble, is that they only are satisfied if they complete the triathlon. And they miss all the lessons up to that point. All the times you got up early and ran when you didn't want to.
Right. Right. And let's talk a little bit about even setting mini goals, maybe, because this daunting goal of me setting that $100 million, that number scares me. And it makes me feel like, will I be able to achieve that this year? And I realized that, you know what, let me step back and let me really focus on mini goals, day-to-day goals, and day-to-day achievements.
Yeah.
Then to focus on a 1-year goal that is so daunting, right? I mean, wouldn't you agree to that? Look, Priyanka, you went through so much in your life, just like I did, to get to where you are today. Now you're fulfilling what you truly want from inside, right? This is your passion. This is what drives you. Well, my passion is, you know, just to make sure that I'm helping other people, whether it's real estate agents or, you know, buyers and sellers. Help is the key word here. Helping them achieve their goals or their success, or, you know, whatever it might be, whether it's helping my dog today walk because he couldn't walk 2 days ago. You know, help is the key word here, right? So this
is so nice. Like I told Jesse the same thing the other day. I feel so selfish when it comes down to when we talk. Like Jim is like almost like a Buddha. You talk about helping people. Jesse is always talking about helping people. And I was like, everything I do because it makes me happy. Right? Yeah. Like real estate is just a tool, so I can pay for my dogs. The buyers and sellers, I have dropped buyers and sellers say, don't like working with you, you know, not going to work with you anymore. It's just all about me. And I was like, I do a great job, but because I'm good at it, and it makes me feel good that I did a great job. And you guys are like, oh, I want to take care of the buyers. I want to take care of the sellers. Like, well, they're adults. They can take care of themselves. That's why they're selecting me. Like
I don't think you being happy is being selfish.
Right. It's not.
But that's the whole thing. The whole thing. My life is focused on this makes me happy, so I'm going to do this. This doesn't make me happy. Forget about it. I'm not going to do this.
But here's the thing, Priyanka. My husband wants me to think like that. What makes Janki happy? Stop thinking about other people. Stop thinking about buyers and sellers and, you know, making other people happy. What do you want truly from inside? I've been fighting that battle so long that everything that I've been through in my life from the time I was a kid to today, rags to riches to whatever you might want to call it, everything that I've built up in my life and my business is, are you happy? Am I happy? And I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing for your happiness. But for me, what makes me happy is helping. I don't care who I help. At least that makes me happy that I help somebody. When a client of mine received one of the gifts that we sent them for happy holidays, that made me happy. Because guess what? I helped this kid because he was a diabetic and he needed those brownies immediately and they were in the car. So that made me put a smile on my face like, okay, I was successful in helping achieve someone's goal somehow, somewhere, you know.
I still feel very selfish. I'm sorry, because I'm just like,
well, it's only feel selfish because you don't see the impact that you have. You like the impact of you being happy in the world or on other people
or around animals.
Yeah.
That's a huge impact because guess what? This past week, I realized how much my golden retriever can actually speak to me. And I was like, oh my God, he's actually telling me things, you know? And even my American Eskimo, who's really older now, and she just had, a heart failure just about 2 weeks ago. And the process that we're going through to take care of her and how he takes care of her. I mean, these things are like, wow, to me, that they're helping each other. And that puts a smile on my face. But that automatically, look at your facial expression, Priyanka. The minute I told you about my American Eskimo, your face just went. And when I told you about my golden retriever talking to me, you were all bright-eyed, you know, and you had a beautiful...
That talks to my heart, right?
It's like that makes you happy, right? So I think, you know, and coming back to our topic of setting goals and expectations of one another or of ourselves, of the higher achievement that we want to accomplish, is it really setting you for a disappointment, or are you really achieving those goals when you make your New Year's resolutions, right? Think about that. I mean, are you really going to achieve that? And if you do, good and well. If you don't, then how do you want to change that thought process?
Maybe the goals should be more focused on your purpose in life, like what you like to do, who do you want to do it for, what these people need from you kind of thing. If we set up goals more on that versus like, hey, I'm going to double my production, because that's the part that doesn't speak to me. But as we are talking together, I do have loosey-goosey goals, right? So, I want to do this. It's more bigger. Like my friends say, you manifest things. You talk about something and 3 months later, you're doing it.
Exactly.
And it's not like, so that means I have some kind of goal because I have talked to people about it. It's like, hey, I want to start an assisted living home. And next thing we know, we have 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. But it was a loosey-goosey goal, but I saw the opportunities came my way. My banker calling me and said like, hey, I have somebody who needs help. They need to buy a house for what? They want to open assisted living. In my whole career, nobody has ever called me to buy a home to open an assisted living. Right at the moment when I said I want to open, an assisted living, suddenly my banker is calling, who has never sent me a client before, this particular person. And then my lawyer calls. It's like, hey, this lady is going into foreclosure. She has this home right behind your office. Can you go help them? And I walk in and I was like, oh, this is the kind of property I was looking for. Can I buy it? I mean, things are just falling in my lap. Literally.
It's called manifestation. It's called manifestation because...
Right, that's what my friend said. Like, you just manifest things. You want something, you do it. But I think that is some kind of a goal. And then I set my intentions out in the universe, and the universe just starts working. It's like, okay, Priyanka, you need this person to tell you, you need this property to, put this together, and you need this resource and this physician and this person, and they just kind of come together.
I agree with you.
And I'm so sorry, but I have to say something. But I am such a strong believer in the universe and actually, putting it out there, manifesting it, and watch what happens. I've had those experiences happen to me. And then you have to wonder, what is the true definition of a goal? How do you...
So that's when you have some intention, right? You want something from your heart.
Exactly.
And that's for me, what we're talking about goals is not like, I'm going to double my production. I want to help this elderly who have animals or pets that they have to give up because they don't have a place to take them to, because every time they move to a society. That was my goal, if you want to call it goal, but that was my purpose, right? So, okay, I'm going to start a home where these people can bring their pets and they don't have to be separated. And things just fell in place and fell in place and fell in place. And we are growing. I never wanted to have a second one, but first one was so successful. Now people are like, we have a waiting list. We need to come in. Oh, the neighbor next door comes and is like, hey, I need to sell my home. Do you want to buy mine? Right next door.
But in terms of, so I just Googled it really quickly because you said, what's the definition of a goal? According to Google, right, it says the object of a person's ambition or effort, or it's an aim or desired result. So that's why I was saying at the top, I think we actually do agree somewhat is like, you just didn't like the specific goals you were hearing people set in real estate communities, but you don't have anything against an overarching goal.
the interpretation of the word goal, I think, is the issue here.
Right.
Right.
Right. Because we have goals every single day, whether you know it or not, intentional or not.
Yeah.
My goal today is to go take care of this, this, and this. That's a goal. You did set that out there. You're going to make it happen, and it's achievable.
Yeah.
And also, I think we're focused on the wrong things a lot of times. Like
Right.
people have a goal, or they want to make a certain amount of money, or they want to close a certain amount of houses, or they want to that should be the stepping stone to the actual goal.
Right.
I want to take the month of December off and go on vacation and travel the world for a month. That should be the goal instead of I want to close 75 houses.
I think that's what my problem is with, like, people set themselves so short. They're just focused on like, oh, I want to make so much more money because somebody's telling them, oh, you sold 100 homes. Next year you should sell 200 homes. Like, hey, you sold 100 homes. Forget about that. What do you want to do with it?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So there's so many realtors, like they are setting up those small villages for veterans or homeless or abused women. I mean, I know so many realtors who are doing so much with that. And I'm like, yes, this is what excites me.
Yeah.
But going in our big groups and just seeing people setting up, for me, it's like human being is setting themselves up so short. They can do so much.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right. So let's change your slightly into this. And by the way, in case you're watching, everyone on the screen here does sell plenty of houses. So this is, because it's one thing if you don't sell any houses, you're like, don't have any goals. But like we all sell plenty of houses. But so here's a question for you guys in terms of I know Jim was telling me offline about wanting to learn to play piano, right? Or you were mentioned like, let's take the example of you learning to play piano. How do you feel about mastery, Jim, versus a goal?
Yeah, this is a tough one for me because just my personality, growing up and like the way that I grew up, I had to I have this feeling of having to master something before feeling okay with sharing it to like the world. So I had this hang up where I would if I wanted to learn something new, like learn the piano, I would have to master that skill before I would feel not only comfortable myself with it, but also to share it with other people. And I think that's really damaging, because people want to be involved in your journey. And not only that, but people can help you. And we can't do this all alone. Like, we're on the planet with people, not with ourselves. So like the way to get to the thing that I want faster would be to ask for help. And I wasn't doing that. And like, that took a long time to realize, but like, realizing that, I'm going to attract the people that want to help me and not judge where I am, first of all. And then those people are going to exponentially help me to achieve all of the goals that I want because they're already on my team. So why would I not want to tell everyone about that?
I just jump into things. I always say, like, if you know how to swim, how does it matter if what is 5 foot deep or 500? You don't need to figure it out right away. Just jump in, start swimming, and go where you want to go.
Totally agree.
Pardon me?
I totally agree with you on that.
Were you always like that, Priyanka?
Huh?
Were you always like that?
No. Kind of. I always did things where, like, I'm just going to jump in and figure it out. I'm very much like, I'm going to go ahead and figure it out on my way. And it works for me. Like, if I overanalyze, because I have that weakness, so that is completely my weakness. Once I start overanalyzing things and start getting into deeper, I talk myself out of those things. And realizing that early on in my life, like, not even going to go there. If I want to do this, and that's another thing, I'm not going to wait for January 1st to start a new project. If I want to start a project, I thought about it tonight, tomorrow morning, I'm starting to work on it. Yep. That's it, because I don't need to figure out everything about it.
I'm totally like that. I'm totally 100% like that. Of course, on the other hand, my husband is more over analytical, and he's the more C and, detailed of, okay, you're going to get there. I know I'm going to get there, but he's going to draw the map out. And I'm like, nah, I don't need that. I know how to get there. I'll get there. Yeah. I don't need instructions. I'll get there because I know I want it. That's my goal. I'm going to get it done.
Yeah.
That's what drives me, honestly. When I know I want something as simple as, doing the remodeling of my room back there to actually make it an office, a home office. I know I want it. I know I'm going to get it done. And I didn't know how, where, what to start, but I just started throwing things on paper and voila, I designed it and it's done. Get the contract and get it done within a week. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's move on.
Yeah, because you won't get anywhere if you don't take that first step, right? So you can sit on that table and keep working on it and making it perfect before you take a step. My light goes off. But if you just start going in the direction you need to go,
right,
you will figure it out. I mean, you're already on the path. It's going to lead somewhere, right? You may take one or two wrong turns, but
for the people that are listening that are having a difficult time making that first step, what would, for you guys, what would be your advice to them to have them get on the court?
Just do it. Like, don't worry about like what is like 10 steps, right?
No.
It's like, make your first call, make your first whatever. Like, you have to go, you want to find an office, just go out, start driving. Don't try to figure out like which area I'm going to be in. Just go and look at 10 locations in different areas. Like, everything has to start somewhere. For me, it's just like, I don't care. And a lot of times, like my assistant, and that's why she is my assistant, because she's step by step. And I will give her a project and she's like, okay. And I was like, okay, so do this. She's like, but that's the fifth step. You're telling me the fifth step. What about the first 1, 2, 3, 4? I was like, oh, in my mind, everything is a sphere or a cube. So this side connect to this side. So if you need to do this side first, or you do this side first, doesn't mean that you can't do that later, right? For her, everything is linear. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. And that's where, her strength is my weakness and my strength is her weakness. Yeah. And we had to learn how to, come together and work. And she does a lot of things that I cannot do. Yeah. Even if I try, I'm going to fail because my brain is not wired. But I don't need to be perfect in every aspect. Just the person who is good at it and let them do it.
And Priyanka just described my husband and my relationship exactly the same. He's more detailed, analytical. He has to have systems. He has to go from A to B to C to D. I'm like, A to Z. That's me. I don't care anything in between. A to Z. Let's go. And he's like, well, how do you expect that to happen? It'll happen because I put it out there. It'll happen. Let's get in the car. Let's start driving, So many times we stop ourselves from this goal setting that we do all the time. That sometimes mentally might be a good thing, might be a bad thing. You have to be the judge of that, in my opinion. When you set your goals, your intentions, I think you have to be truly out there setting your expectations and goals and intentions. And that in itself is, your New Year's resolution type of thing. You just have to be careful of how you say it, what you say it, and is it achievable or measurable? That's I
have an answer for you. So I was imagining how do I see it like this? My journey is like strolling through the garden, right? So there are paths everywhere and I'm going down this path, but I see butterfly over there. So I'm going to go and check that out. And then I see a rose bush. I'm going to go over there. It's going to take me all over the garden. I'm not going to go from this end of the garden to that end of the garden like that. Or not going to say here's the pamphlet. First I'm going to go to this section. Then I'm going to go to this section. My journey takes what you said, A to Z. I will A, C, M, D. Okay, it's like a musical going on all over the place. And it's fun. It is. Right? Because things are happening and you're achieving things and whatever steps you're taking is all coming together. All right. And then suddenly it will be a beautiful picture.
It's something like being on the piano, doing things, right?
So I'm going to put it in terms of some actionable stuff here before we run out of time. I want to give a few actionable things for people for watching. So I've been lately back and obsessed with the concept of a cold shower. I know Jim is a fan of the cold shower, and I've been researching cold showers. And one of the things I stumbled upon, the same quote popped up from different people. And one of them was Tony Robbins, one was someone else, but they said, the reason why I like jumping in cold water or a cold shower is because it teaches your body it's go time. When you decide you're going to do something, you just go do it. So if you're not wired like Priyanka or Janki, if you're someone who's like, right, I want to plan it all out first, right? The cool thing about cold shower, like you're standing in the shower, you just boom, hit it to cold and it just goes. When you decide it's time to go. So I love that idea. Throw that out for anyone out there who's like, right now it's wintertime. You guys are probably thinking I'm insane cold showers, but no, they're really good. The second thing I want to throw in before we run out of time is just on habits versus goals. So there's been this trend in science, and I'm hearing these undertones to a lot of what we've talked about today. There's this trend in science for the last, long period of time where it was all goal focused, all goal focused. And right now, if you look at some of the key words that keep popping up in studies, goals are starting to come down in scientific research, and habits are starting to come back into focus. How does that tie in for you guys in terms of what you're describing? Does that fit with your worldview? Not fit with your worldview?
Habits, I would say, what are your daily, I would say more routine. I wake up, I do my meditation, my affirmation. I have a routine in the morning, but that's all. That's my morning routine. And it doesn't tie into my goal or anything for the day, but it does, it is something that I like to do as a ritual for myself. But when it comes down to what you just asked, it doesn't really, I don't know. I think, what do you say, Jim and Priyanka? What do you guys think about that?
I think habits set the tone for the mindset to reach the goal. Mm. So you're creating these daily habits that like flip a switch to put you in the mindset to be able to work through diversity and reach the goal that you're achieving.
So we talked about this, and my thing is, I'm really happy with who I am. I'm not changing any of my habits just because somebody tells me to. And this thing is coming up like, oh, you need to change your habit, as if something is wrong with us human beings. And I was just like, hey, this is how I'm wired, and this works for me. And since I have accepted who I am and not trying to fix things or my weaknesses, I focus on my strengths. I was like, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. Let me find somebody who has those same strengths that are my weaknesses and let them handle that. And I think that's what makes everybody happy. If you are doing things that you're good at, your strengths that you're good at, you're focusing on that versus struggling with things. I mean, I don't know. I don't like struggling, right? So I would rather have somebody else come in and it's like, hey, can you do this part for me for my project? Because I'm not good at it. I cannot come up with the steps. So this is a whole jumble of ideas. Sort it out for me, right? And they're good at it, but they can't think like me. And I have learned that, like people who can, sort out my mess kind of thing, they cannot think like me. And they come and it's like, oh my God, dude, you're amazing. You can think like that, or you come up with this whole thing. And for me, this is so natural, right? For me, it's like, oh, it's not a big deal. What are you talking about? And I used to set myself into like, oh, I have these weaknesses. I need to fix this, like habits. I need to develop new habits kind of thing. But since I accepted myself as who I am, and it's a good, bad, and ugly. I'm not perfect at all, right? It's a good, bad, and ugly, but I'm happy with, so a lot of people will say like, universe made me like this. God made me like this. Like, who am I to argue with God? So I'm just going to work with what God has given me, and whatever I don't have, I'm going to find it on the side. So that's why I don't go practice new habits or new things. And I know
So what happens when you discover something, Priyanka? Like in Jesse's example, like he discovered that taking a cold shower made him feel better. So like knowing that.
So I won't go out and go like, oh, I'm going to change my habit because I read this book and that book said that. And right now this is in fad or fashion kind of thing. Everybody's doing it. So I'm going to do it. Those things don't talk to me. But if I discover something like that and it talks to me, I'll do it. If it doesn't talk to me, I'll just move on.
Yeah, I think it's more about creating than changing. Creating a habit, not changing a habit.
Yeah, I think having habits sometimes keeps you on target with what you want to succeed, maybe at a short-term goal. I do have like yesterday, a couple of days ago, we decided to, form a habit of walking a mile a day, a mile and a half, 2 miles a day. That's just me and my husband, and that's it, alone time. I think setting that kind of a goal, mini goals, right? Achievable goals, measurable goals, if that.
Love it.
I think I'm a hippie and I'm born in the wrong era. I just go happy, go lucky, and whatever happens today is going to happen.
Well, guys, we are coming up to the end of our hour. Do you have any last minute thoughts? We got about 1 minute left to wrap this up. Anyone got any final thoughts? I mean, it sounds like you guys mainly agree on goals and New Year's resolutions. So hands up, anybody actually set a New Year's resolution? Looks like no one did, right? Love it. All right. Last thoughts from anybody?
Yeah.
Transformation happens right now. It doesn't happen in the future. It happens right now in the moment. So the quickest way to transformation is to create an action. Just take an action without thinking about it. That's where transformation exists.
Manifest it out. Simple as that. Put it out there.
I love it. All right. If you guys are watching on, go ahead, Priyanka.
I said, do it now and don't get attached to how you're going to get there. Just figure it out and go.
I love it. All right. Well, guys, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, drop a comment. And make sure, because Jake, if you're the one or Sandra wants to make sure we're tagged in this thing, you want to tag all four of us in this replay so we can answer any comments if people have questions. Thank you guys for watching. And if you guys are sitting around staring and screaming, you're like, I love my New Year's resolutions. Tell us. We want to know. We'll happily listen to your side of it.
And we're always on YouTube, right? Lab Coat Agents, YouTube.
Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.